Hi, this is Musa. Hikaru Nakamura lost a game in round 5.1 of Baku 2015 World Cup. There is another round tomorrow or another game, and where Hikaru is forced to win to keep on to the semi-final. This game is against Pavel Eljanov, and many are wondering where did Hikaru went wrong. Pavel started with d4, d5, and we see a Catalan, and after double castles and d takes c4 we have queen to c2, a6 preparing b5 in case white doesn't want to regain the pawn, but a4 here prevents that, bishop d7, and we see that Hikaru is headed for a draw or a drawish line in some cases. After queen takes, bishop c6, and indeed we see that Hikaru is trying to repeat the games between Vasily Ivanchuk, Magnus Carlsen, where Magnus really did not like that game, as he described it's not chess. And the other game is between Vishy Anand and Vasily Topalov. They repeated the same exact line, and this is after bishop g5, bishop d5, queen goes back to c2, and bishop to e4. But at this time Pavel did not repeat the move. He did not go to c4 with the queen c4, bishop d5, queen c2, bishop e4, and after threefold repetition it would have been a draw. Pavel went queen c1, and this is the first time where Hikaru really made a mistake, ignoring the development of his knight. He played h6. I would have liked to see c5, c6, knight c6, knight b d7, other than h6. Why? Let's see something that I like, which is c5. D is forced to take, and now knight b d7. The game could continue, too many variations, but if white likes to play b4, trying to keep the c pawn, then a5. b5 is forced, knight takes, and black is equalizing or even better. But with h6, Pavel Eljanov controls the whole game, and from this point Hikaru lost all initiative and all participation or even counter-attacks in the game. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, and rook to d1, opposing the queen. And now a5, another slightly inaccurate move in regards to ignoring the development of the knight. a5, knight attacks the bishop, bishop has to go back, or even can take the knight, or bishop d5, doesn't really matter, but going back to h7 seemed like a better move for Hikaru. Maybe indeed it is. Now knight to b3, c6, queen c3, and white's idea is that he wants to play both knights to c5 and e5, and knight d7 really does not work because of the knight jumping to e5. So bishop to e7, maybe trying to have control on c5 square, knight goes anyways, and queen to c7 to protect the b7 pawn. Of course, other moves can be tried, but it's not really strengthening black's grab on c5. Bishop here must take, and queen takes d3. Now the knight really has to go to a6, and maybe after knight e5 with the bishop, knight b4 attacks the queen, and queen c4. This pawn is almost gone. Attacking the queen, knight takes, bishop takes, and if queen to d6, then rook ac1. white is a pawn up. Let's go back to the game. We have queen to c7 and now knight to e5. Bishop cannot take. If bishop takes c5, then d takes c5, rook to d8, then e4 attacks the bishop, bishop goes back, rooks are exchanged, and now the knight will be a monster. Now after knight to e5, Hikaru can only play one move, and that is knight a6. If white delays anything, such as playing rook d2, maybe trying to, for example, double rooks, then black is equalizing easily. The knight cannot go to d6 so easy because c5 remains a weakness. But here Pavel Eljanov knows what to do, and that is knight takes b7. Queen must take. The knight now can take, even if the rook goes to c8. Let's see that, but anyways, Eljanov takes with the bishop. Let's see knight takes, then maybe rook ac8, queen takes a5, rook takes c6, bishop takes c6 is a bad move. Maybe queen to b5, forcing the queen exchange, because the queen has to protect both the knight and the rook. So queen takes, pawn takes, forks two pieces, rook c7, but the pawn can be stopped and the game is completely equal. Let's go back. After queen takes b7, Eljanov took with the bishop, and Hikaru here needs to choose, needs to or have two choices, and need to choose right now between queen c7 or delaying the exchange of queens by going to a7 or b8. Now if queen to a7, then bishop takes a8, in betweener bishop b4 forces the queen to go to c6 or even f3 to attack the f7, defends the bishop for now. Queen must take, the rook cannot take of course, and queens are exchanged. In this scenario, black can stop white from advancing for a moment and slow white's initiative. But with the variation after bishop takes c6, this is the game. Hikaru played queen c7, and this is immediately forcing the exchange of queens. Bishop takes a8 and queen takes c3 is a must now, because playing rook takes a8 is a problem, because if queen f3 attacks both the rook and f7, rook must go back. Rook a c1 now, total control. Queen to d8, and now knight c6, queen d7, knight takes the bishop, and we see in almost every variation the knight hunt down this dark squared bishop. It's a black best piece. Check, and we can play d5 here, trying to open the game. The queen pins the pawn and attacks b2. After pawn takes e6, the price is that double pawns for white on the f5. Pawn takes e6, and we can have rook d6 or even rook d7, and white is a lot better. So in this position, this is the game. Queen takes c3 is a must. Pawn takes, and now rook takes a8. Knight c6, trying to attack the bishop. Where is the bishop going? d8. And Eljanov gives Hikaru no time, absolutely no time. Rook takes d8 and f3. This is preventing the bishop from going anywhere. So this bishop is almost dead for Hikaru. Now Hikaru played rook to c8, attacking c3. Something like bishop c2 really doesn't work, because it gives white some advantage with regrouping his rooks, and if bishop takes a4, then rook to a2, and it will get the a5 pawn, but if bishop goes back to c4, then rook to b7 is good enough. So Hikaru here plays rook to c8, this is the game, and rook a3 defending. Bishop g6, the idea is that Hikaru wants to play f6, bishop e8, tries to get the bishop back to the game. King f2 centralization, and rook to b8. And to simplify the game further, rook d2. The idea is that he wants to bring the rook back from a3 to a2, tries to exchange rooks, or even force black to go from the control of the b file. Now f6 indeed, and rook a2. Rook b3, of course this is attacking c3, and now rook a b2, allowing black to take one more pawn, but with a price of losing the a5 pawn. Bishop to c2 now, rook takes a5, knight goes back to c7, and here Eljanov is completely winning. The pawn just keeps marching. Maybe here at this point king to f8 would have been better. This move leaves Hikaru in almost a zigzag. Rook c4, rook b6, and pawn keeps marching. Bishop goes back to d5, rook a2. This allows rook takes d4 with discovered attack on the rook, but it doesn't really matter. White can play king e3 or rook a5, or even rook to c2 attacking the knight, forcing the knight to go to a8, which is the only move here, and rook a6. Rook d1. After a few moves, the king marches to g5. At this point, white is winning. Naka is almost lost, and this is the final blow after this mistake. Rook takes a7, rook d8, preparing a mating net, and Pavel delayed his mate or his win by not playing king to f6, and this is a mate in 3 or 4 moves. Any move and checkmate. But Eljanov here, after g6, he missed it a little bit, playing rook h8, and after a couple of moves, Hikaru resigned. Nothing really effective, nothing really good to do. Few checks, and after rook d7, Hikaru resigned. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye for now.